gang, family, Ravens, flock? I have a question for you. Do you think that Zay Flowers, Ravens wide receiver, do you think that he is a top 3 wide receiver in the AFC? I'll repeat. Do you think that Zay Flowers is a top 3 wide receiver in the AFC? Also, I want to know what you think about the United States choking in the World Cup last night to Belgium, as they are now eliminated from the tournament. We're going to discuss this and a couple of other things as well in this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. So please don't touch that dial and be sure to like the video. Without any further ado, let's get started. Yes, sir, and welcome back to yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, where we cover all things Baltimore Ravens, NFL content, NBA content, MMA content. We've been covering World Cup. We do a little bit of everything here at PRP, but specifically our main thing, our MO, are these Baltimore Ravens. And boy, do we have some things to talk about here in this episode of the show. So be sure, before we get into anything else, again, like this video. That's right, a thumbs up goes very far. If you're part of the replay gang, salute to you. Appreciate you for coming through. Please be sure to like this video. Also, hype this video. Helps us out with a good old algorithm. So if you don't mind supporting the channel, those are great ways to do it. Of course, there's all sorts of ways to support the channel. You guys already know how that goes. But of course, as always, we do these shows live. So shout out to the replay gang. Salute to you as always. But what I will say is that I got to give a shout out to the live chat. You know, I got to give a shout out to who's here in the live chat. I see some members in the chat. I see Shelly Shell is in the chat. I see Tila, and the M stands for moderator, is in the chat. What's going on? Shout out to all the members here. Also, shout out to Glaucoma, another member in the chat as well. I see Nigerian Nightmare. I see Zico Kage. I see Tanja Bowman. Hello. I see, who else do I see? Oslo, what's going on? Stretch 626. I see you in the chat as well. The man 0101. What up? Killer Cam. What's going on, Killer Cam? Appreciate you for coming through. Tila says, "Yay, Noti gang." That's what I'm talking about. Turn on those notifications if you have not already, so you're notified anytime that we go live here at PRP. This is the first episode of Quiet Storm Sports of the week. Always my favorite one. Always a lot to talk about. Queendom Come is in the chat as well. Says, "What up, everyone? What's going on, Queendom Come?" Killer Cam says, "What is his excuse now?" Whose excuse? We doing excuse? Oh, your boy is MIA again. Oh, see, we already starting off the episode bad, Killer Cam. See, we're not talking about Rashod Bateman so soon here in this episode. I'm sorry, we're just not doing it. We're not doing it because today's not about Rashod Bateman, quite frankly. Okay, maybe we might circle around to it, and you guys know the book is always on standby. All right, so if your name's not been added to the book yet, that's right, the famous Bait Hate book, as you guys all know. Taking names, making a list, checking it twice when the season comes around and Bateman is producing, because a lot of y'all be hating on Bateman, and I'm taking names. I want to keep a track record of this. So you guys know, now that the housekeeping things are out of the way, right? And Miss Fancy Pants is in the building as well. What's going on, Miss Fancy Pants? Now that stuff's out of the way, I want to get into what we came here to get into on this episode of the show. Zay Flowers. Is he a top 3 wide receiver in the AFC? While you are mulling over that, I want to start with what seems to be a scary sight. Okay? A very scary sight that I saw earlier today on the good old interwebs. Let's take a look here, chat. Oh, shoot. My screen not even here. I forgot. Jeez, man. So unprofessional. Sorry, replay gang. Here we go. This is what I saw. Zay Flowers training with the one and only Jamarr Chase. And first and foremost, before I dive deeper into this here, by the way, this was an Instagram posted, I guess, by whoever is training with them or whatever. Obviously, again, Zay Flowers, he's working with Jamarr Chase here. But before I dive deeper into this, I thought to myself, like off rip, kind of weird that two fierce rivals, AFC North rivals, are getting together in training. You would think that it's like it's smoke. You feel me? Like, you do what you do over there. I respect you as a receiver. I know you respect me, but like, we not about to be, powwowing and parlaying and practicing together. But we have seen in the past, some of the best wide receivers in the league get together and train in the offseason. So it's not like it's anything like super taboo. It just did kind of like, okay, out of all the receivers, you can pick the one in the division. Neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. It really doesn't matter. That's why I wanted to start with it. Maybe you feel differently about it. Let me know down below in the comments. I don't know. Anywho, this is a scary sight. This is a scary sight. I'd like to remind everyone that Jamarr Chase is quickly approaching the status of, I'd say, top 10 NFL wide receiver of all time, if he's not already there. He's getting dangerously close. And when I say close, I mean dangerously close, right? Let's take a little look here at Jamarr Chase's stats, just so we can get kind of like a picture of exactly what is Jamarr Chase. Why do people love Jamarr Chase so much? Well, here's why. Here's why. You're looking at every season of his career. He's gone over 1,000 yards, but not just barely scraping over 1,000 yards, right? Except for that one season, he got 1,046. But outside of that, let's just start from 2021. 2021, Jamarr Chase notched 1,455 yards and 13 touchdowns rookie season. 1,455 yards and 13 touchdowns in his rookie campaign. Now, I don't want to seem too bullish, but seeing rookie numbers like that from a wide receiver does give me hope that one of the younger wide receivers on our team, one of the rookies, that's right, Jacoby Lane or Elijah Surratt, hopefully one of those guys can break out, maybe not to the tune of 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns, but at least maybe like half that, at least like maybe like 2/3 that, maybe. That would be a win for me. But either way, rookie season Jamarr, insane. 2022, 1,046 yards, 9 touchdowns. 2023, 1,216 yards, 7 touchdowns. 2024, one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time, 1,708 yards and 17 touchdowns. Let me read that again. 1,708 yards and 17 touchdowns in one season. Insane. 2025, this past season, again, most of the year without Joe Burrow, 1,412 yards and 8 touchdowns. And again, most of the season last year was without Joe Burrow. A lot of that was from Joe Flacco. Okay. So that kind of paints the picture for you just how damn good Jamarr Chase is. Now, the fact that Zay Flowers is working with Jamarr Chase, Zay Flowers, he is a multiple-time Pro Bowl receiver, right? He's had 1,000-yard seasons. I think the past 3 seasons, I want to say. Let me actually fact check that really quick, because I don't want to, because y'all be on my ass about Zay Flowers. So last 2 seasons, he's going into year 4. 2023, you had Zay Flowers finish with 858 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2024, he had 1,059 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2025, he had 1,211 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not bad numbers at all. Not bad, right? I think that those are low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 type of numbers. That's the type of production that you've gotten out of Zay Flowers since he has been with the Ravens. Okay, those are just stats. Those aren't, those are just stats. Now, the poll in the chat says, do you think that Zay Flowers is a top 3 wide receiver in the AFC? If you have not voted in that poll yet, please do so now. If you're watching the replay of this, I want you to comment down below. Do you think that, and really think about this one, AFC only. AFC only, right? So no Puka Nacua, no Justin Jefferson, no Jackson Smith and Jigba, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, none of those guys. None of those guys count. I'm just talking strictly American Football Conference. Is he a top 3 wide receiver? Again, replay gang, let me know down below in the comments. If you're watching live, vote in the poll. Also put it in the chat. I want to get you guys' takes. But also be sure, like this video. Now, before I dive deep into who I think my top 3 wide receivers in the AFC are, I do want to say this. Zay working with Jamarr Chase, beautiful. Beautiful. What I really hope that Zay Flowers takes away from working with Jamarr Chase, I really hope Zay Flowers asked Jamarr the question, because I know they were doing footwork drills for days out there, and you know those swishy pants that Zay has on, they were going crazy with all the footwork he was doing. You know, I'm sure, but I'm hoping that the question was asked from Zay to Jamarr. Hey, Jamarr, how do you get 1,400 yards, 1,700 yard seasons and score so many touchdowns? Because if I'm Zay Flowers, that's where the next level of my game resides. Scoring touchdowns. And you guys know that this has been my biggest criticism by far of Zay Flowers thus far in his career. I want him for a wide receiver 1 to get his offense off of the field by scoring 6 more often. Right? Make Lamar Jackson's job easier. So I'm hoping he asked Jamarr Chase, hey, Jamarr, how do you get so many yards, but also so many touchdowns? Like, these explosive plays are crazy. And Jamarr probably says, oh, yeah, no problem. So normally what I do is I'll catch the ball out in space. I'll take one step. I'll put my foot in the ground. I'll pick an angle, and I'll basically dare the entire secondary to beat me in a foot race. That's what I'll do. And in that foot race, I got me every time. There will be times where, you know, you pick an angle as a wide receiver, you catch the ball out in space. Because you guys know, Jamarr and Zay Flowers, they sometimes, I mean, you can move Jamarr Chase around pretty much anywhere. He can play anywhere. He can play X, he can play Z, whatever. Zay Flowers is normally a Z, right? A lot of times you're going to see Zay Flowers out in motion, in space. He's going to line up off the ball, right? And he's going to be manufactured. Like, him getting open is manufactured a lot of the time. But when he catches the ball in space and he turns upfield, I'm really hoping that Jamarr Chase says, hey, bro, look, just pick one angle and run straight. Yes, you're going to run into some arm tackles. And that's probably my biggest gripe about Zay Flowers. Not even just the lack of touchdown performance, but his unwillingness at times, it seems, to run through an arm tackle. If you literally just stick your arm out in front of Zay Flowers and threaten to wrap him up with one arm, he will cut back the other way and try to miss you completely. When Jamarr Chase, on the other hand, and maybe Jamarr Chase is a little bit bigger, right? And in this picture here, it looks like Zay is taller, but Jamarr is kind of standing a little bit further behind Zay Flowers. That's why they look kind of like the same height, if not Zay taller. But Zay Flowers is 5'9". Jamarr Chase is about 6 foot even. Okay, so Jamarr Chase is a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger, not too much stocky or anything like, but just a little bit bigger pound for pound, right? Cool. But if there's one thing you got to take from Jamarr Chase, and Tyreek Hill did the same thing too, and Antonio Brown did as well. They didn't succumb to arm tackles. Okay, like, that's the difference. Zay Flowers, at times, it seems he's unwilling to run hard enough to run through an arm tackle. So that's the advice. That's the best advice right there. If I'm Jamarr Chase, that's what I'm telling Zay Flowers. And maybe I'm not telling Zay Flowers this because I don't want the Ravens to demonize my Bengals, you know, from Jamarr Chase's standpoint. Again, not my Bengals. You guys know. I already know what it is here. Ravens all day. All day. Okay? But yeah, that's the one thing that he has to take from that. Now, let me read through some of you guys' live chats here, and then we'll get into this top three wide receivers, you know, talk in the AFC, that is. Nigerian Nightmare says Zay is not used properly in that offense. This I can kind of agree with, because I'm tired of seeing him used as kind of like a gadget guy. Fun fact for you. As we know, Zay Flowers caught a lot of like wide receiver screen type passes under Todd Monken. Fun little stat for you. In the past couple of seasons, yardage gained per wide receiver screen has gone down. Basically, wide receiver screens are not working nearly as well as they did even 5 years ago. Okay, defenses are on that. They're smarter. They have ways to deal with it. They're athletes. They're bigger, faster, stronger. Really, they're faster now. Defenders are getting faster. They're not even getting as big nowadays. They're just getting quicker, right? And they can tackle. And as we see, anytime Zay Flowers catches the ball out in space, behind the line of scrimmage, it's normally one DB crashing downhill at him. Zay Flowers going east and west to maybe evade him. Then there's two more guys. He goes east and west again, tries to shake, and he goes for like 3 yards. That's not the way I think you should be using Zay Flowers in this offense. Let Zay Flowers line up. Let him go deep over the middle, right? If Lamar Jackson needs to extend a play, Zay Flowers will make himself available. That's what he does. That's what he does. That's what I want to see him utilize more down the field, not behind the line of scrimmage. Tanja says, I really don't think Zay is asking Chase for advice. They are different receivers. Zay is playing according to his size. Well, I mean, if he's playing according to his size and what we've seen is all we're going to get from Zay Flowers, there's limitations there. There's limitations there. Zay would have more red zone touchdowns if they put him in the slot. And maybe this is something that you'll see. Well, here's the thing. You got a lot of, as I watch the Chicago Bears offense, because I've been watching a lot of that recently, a lot of their receiver alignments are like bunch formations where I feel as though Zay Flowers may not operate the best. I mean, because the thing is, in the red zone, you don't really want to throw in traffic to Zay Flowers in the red zone. And from like a bunch formation, trips to one side, there might be a little bit too much traffic to fit it into a window comfortably if you're Lamar Jackson for a pass intended for Zay Flowers. Now, again, hopefully, what I really want to see is, again, more game-breaking plays when the Ravens are in, maybe their own territory or in plus territory, where you can get Zay Flowers maybe over the top, deep over the middle. He catches the ball, makes one cut, and he's gone. Zay Flowers has really got to trust his speed more. He's got to trust his speed more to me. He's got to. All right. Let me see what else you guys are saying in here. Lots of comments. Chat is moving really, really fast. Really, really fast. Tila, moderator in the chat, says Zay bulked up a bit too. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look a little beefy here. A little beefy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I definitely, you can tell in his, he looks solid in the midsection, right? And in the chest as well, but it's the arms. It's the forearms. You know what I'm saying? He's got the veins in the forearms. He's looking strong. He's looking strong. I just need to see him. Okay, so here's the thing. Again, here's the thing. If he's coming more into his professional grown man NFL body, whatever you want to call it, right? That's where he needs to tweak his game and become a little bit more physical. The difference between I'd say this, the only difference between Zay Flowers and a Tyreek Hill is that Zay Flowers is not quite as physical, nor does he trust his speed as much. Same thing with Zay Flowers and Jamarr Chase. I was just using Tyreek Hill because they're, same size, same height. But that's all I need to see from Zay. I need to see Zay Flowers trust his speed more often and be more physical and be willing to run through arm tackles instead of trying to juke back and forth. Because all that does is give the rest of the defense time to rally around you, rally to the football, and also create angles to punch it out. And we've seen that before too. So that's another thing that I need him to clear up. Those fumbles. A lot of you guys are saying yes. So let's get into this top three. Let's get into this top three wide receivers. Top three wide receivers in the AFC. For me, I'm going to go number one, Jamarr Chase. Number one, Jamarr Chase. I think that is a given. Nobody should be upset with that. Jamarr Chase is clearly the best wide receiver really in the NFL. really in the NFL. But he's the best one in the AFC. No doubt. No doubt about it. Now, who's number 2? Who is number 2? Who is the second best wide receiver in the AFC? Now, if you ask me, I'm just going to throw my tweet up on screen here. I tweeted this earlier. My top 3 AFC wide receivers, 1 is Chase. Number 2 is going to be A.J. Brown. Number 2, for me, is going to be none other than Patriots' newest wide receiver addition, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has played 7 seasons in the NFL. Only 1 season has he had under 1,000 yards receiving. And, oh yeah, by the way, he also scores a good amount of touchdowns each season as well to go with those yards. And, oh, by the way, he is an extremely durable and reliable receiver for pretty much any scenario. Oh, 3rd and 6 over the middle? Easy. Oh, fade ball in the red zone? Easy. You can go to A.J. Brown for both of those things. Deep crossers? Sure. Digs, drag, anything. Anything. Is he the best route runner in the entire? No. But he makes up for that with strong hands, physicality, and speed too. So I'm going to go with A.J. Brown as the second best wide receiver in the AFC. And then number 3, I got to go Nico Collins, man. I got to go Nico Collins. A lot of people might say, oh, Sutton, why would you take Nico Collins over Zay Flowers? Well, I mean, to be honest with you, bro, to be completely honest with you, I was looking at some of Nico Collins' film earlier from last year, and then also his stats. Past 3 seasons, Nico Collins has been over 1,000 yards. Past 3 seasons. And in each one of those seasons, he has scored at least 6 touchdowns. Now, as you guys can see in my tweet here, I put top 3 AFC wide receivers as of right now. I do believe that number 4 on this list can be Zay Flowers. You can have a conversation about him and maybe a couple of other guys as well. But I think Zay Flowers can comfortably be top 5 in the AFC, possibly even number 4. Now, can Zay Flowers overtake Nico Collins this season? If he has, again, if Zay Flowers goes out there, let's say 1,200 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns. If Nico Collins doesn't top that, then yes, I'd be willing to put Zay Flowers ahead of him. But as of right now, I got to go with these 3. Top 3 AFC wide receivers as of right now. Number 1, Jamarr Chase. Number 2, A.J. Brown. Number 3, Nico Collins. Okay. That's what I'm going with. Let me know if you agree down below in the comment section. Also the chat as well. Also the chat. Are we taking into consideration what offense we run in Baltimore? No, we can't do that. You want to know why, Nigerian Nightmare? Because nobody ever likes to hear that argument from me. Nobody likes to hear that argument from me when I say that, we're a run-first offense. And for that reason, why not just rock with Zay Flowers and the offense we have right now? Well, everybody else wants to go out and get a Stephon Diggs here or a Keenan Allen. Or I've been saying, hey, look, if we're going to get anybody, just bring back D-Hop. Neither here nor there on that. But no, I'm not really taking into consideration what offense we run in Baltimore. I'm not. Because I've been honest with you as well, Nigerian Nightmare. I don't think that matters, only because we've seen what Zay is capable of and is currently not capable of until proven otherwise. And they're all the things that I mentioned earlier. Okay. Let me see. Tanja says T. Higgins can't even stay healthy, and he has Chase to take attention from him. Who does Zay have? Zay produces even when the defense knows he is getting the ball. Again, I think when it comes to Zay Flowers in the most recent Ravens offense, so under Todd Monken and company, you had Zay Flowers against a lot of zone, right? A lot of zone defense, like in the majority, like on average, right? You'd have a lot of teams playing zone against the Ravens, trying to keep Lamar Jackson in front of them and keep the running part of the offense in front of them. And that has aided Zay Flowers to find some very soft spots in these zone coverages. And that's how he, a lot of times when Zay Flowers catches the ball, it's not really contested, right? If you notice, it's not normally contested. He normally catches it out in space, right? His nearest defender is maybe like 6-7 yards away. I mean, it's not because he's just losing his man on every play. Don't get me wrong, Zay gets separation, but it's more so the fact that he's playing against a lot more zone coverages. And again, he plays the Z wide receiver, which is the wide receiver spot that is kind of like schemed open in a way. They get more free releases. They're in motion a lot, that sort of thing. And even still, I mean, even the jet sweeps, those count as receptions too. So, but no, I mean, Zay produces. He produces. I just, again, wish he produced more touchdowns. That's why I can't. Again, I value touchdowns a lot, guys. You guys know this about me. At the end of the day, this game is about scoring points. It's not necessarily about who's got the most yards. It's about scoring points. Like the famous John Madden always used to say, I don't know. I think the team who scores the most points is going to win this football game. It's like, duh, but it's like, that will always be true. If there's one thing that will always be true, it's that. So the highest form of efficiency for me from a skill player is his ability to get in the end zone. Afia, I see you in the chat. Another member in the chat. Ashley also in the chat as well. Good evening, ladies. Thank y'all for coming through. Let me see. What's you guys saying? Darlene, what up? Welcome in. Frank, welcome in. Legit surprised Bateman isn't in your top 3, Sutton. You know what? All right. Since you guys want to have the conversation. No, Bateman is nowhere near my top 3 wide receivers, top 10 wide receivers in the AFC right now. Do I find it concerning? I think is the question I saw earlier. Do I find it concerning that we do see Zay Flowers posting about working out and trying to get better and stuff like that, but we don't see Bateman posting the same sort of stuff? Instead, we have seen, or at least me personally, I'm just being objective here, I've seen Rashod Bateman post about his clothing line without Lords. I've seen him post about other, miscellaneous things on his social media, but nothing that's like, Raven centric. Oh, ready to get back in the lab, or I'm training with such and such right now. None of that. But what I will tell you guys is this: just because it's not being posted does not mean it's not happening. Okay, some people. Well, yeah, some people don't have to grind when the lights are bright. And some people can grind in the dark. And I think that's what Rashod Bateman is doing right now. I think that's what he's doing right now. Because he knows, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, right now, Rashod Bateman knows he's on the chopping block. He knows. Because like I said before, if either or both Jacoby Lane or Elijah Surratt break out this year and prove to be what we think that they can be, oh, Bateman's gone. And hell, if they don't pay Zay before the season, if Jacoby Lane, well, let's put it this way. If Zay Flowers does not get his deal done before the season starts, and this season you see Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt prove that they are NFL-ready talent at wide receiver, not only is Bateman in trouble, but so is Zay. Now, a lot of y'all might not want to hear that, but just think about it from a business perspective. If you got 2 cheap wide receivers, 2 young, cheap wide receivers, big body guys too, the type of guys who Lamar Jackson loves to throw to, and you got them on the cheap for the next 3-4 seasons, do we really want to pay Zay Flowers $40 million that he's going to ask for, or however much it's going to be? They might play a little bit of hardball with Zay Flowers to the point where Zay Flowers is like, okay, let me test the market. Do I hope that happens? No. Do I think that regardless of if, at the end of the day, if Lane and Surratt break out and they prove to be like, really good wide receiver talents, I still think that they would keep Zay Flowers only because at the end of the day, you've got so much money tied up into the defense. It's time to start shifting that pendulum a little bit, some way, somehow. And if it looks like Zay Flowers getting paid a big old bag of money, even if Lane and Surratt break out, so be it. So be it. But it will be a conversation that will be had, right, amongst the Ravens brass with Eric DaCosta and Bashadi or Sashi Brown, whoever is talking, having those talks. Jesse Minter, I'm sure, will be up there as well, having the conversation. So I'm just saying, it's possible. It's possible. God's favor says if they both pop off, then Zay can walk, to be honest. Okay, see? And this is what I'm saying. I feel like fans like us will share kind of like a very similar sentiment when it comes to that. A lot of people who are riding hard for Zay Flowers now, if Lane and Surratt both break out, y'all ever seen that meme where like the guy's walking with his girlfriend, but he's like looking behind him at the other girl who's like walking up the street, and the guy's girlfriend is like looking at him like in disgust, like, why are you looking at other girl? Like, Lane and Surratt, I mean, look, if they come out looking like Emeka Ibuka or rookie Puka Nakua, God forbid, or hell, both, it's going to look very attractive to Ravens fans and to the Ravens brass. Just saying. And here's the thing. Zay Flowers ain't going to re-sign for no Rashod Bateman money, regardless of what happens with Lane and Surratt. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody in that wide receiver room has to show up this year. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think the only one, honestly, nobody. Zay's not safe. Bateman's not safe. No. Tez isn't safe. Now, it is asking for a lot, again, for Lane and Surratt to end up being really good, but it's a possibility. That's all I'll leave you with. There's a possibility. Tanja says, them boys not going to get the opportunity to pop off like that. Maybe Surratt. I don't know. It really depends on what we see in preseason. If those guys look undeniable in preseason and if they look electric, all it's going to take is a couple highlight plays for everybody to get, for everyone in Baltimore to get excited. Not just us fans. All it's going to take is a couple of electric plays in training camp and or preseason for Declan Doyle to go, okay, yeah, I need that guy to be a big part of this offense. Jesse, did you see what Jacoby Lane did in the red zone? A couple trips in the red zone in the preseason? Yeah, dude's got huge hands. He just mossed a couple of the DBs in preseason. I think we should really get him more involved. Oh, Surratt, did you see him on that 3rd and 6, again, where he went over the middle, strong hands catch, took a hit, got right back up, pointed forward, first down. We need that energy on the field more often. I could see it, man. I could see it. Again, Tanja, it just depends on what happens in preseason. Over 80 people watching live, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Quiet Storm Sports right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, your number one source for daily Baltimore Ravens content. If you're enjoying the content you're consuming right now, please be sure to like this video. That's right, thumbs up. Also, if you're new, subscribe. We actually have the chats open today. So literally, subscribed or not, you can comment in the chat room today. As you guys know, for the main pods, it's always subscriber only. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to continue to join our live interactive chat. Okay. Man, chat's moving. Chat is moving. Let me see. Easy G3 says, yeah, but with what's going on, this new regime doesn't look like they will suck at drafting wide receivers. And that's my hope. It's a total brain dump. A total brain drain in the castle. Outside of, again, the likes of DaCosta, Sashi, Steve Bashadi, those higher ups. But in terms of like coaching, totally new regime. Scout team is similar to my knowledge. But I do think that the development of these receivers will be something not quite like we've ever seen in Baltimore, at least in the past 18 years. I'll say that. So if Bateman on his last year, did he can sit out because if he's looking for more money, so don't think this is a good thing he is doing. This is how people do when they want to sit out. You think Rashod Bateman is kind of like rebelling here, Brandon? Is that what you're saying? Like, because I don't think that's the case. I think Rashod Bateman is, he's going into what, year 5, year 6. He's a vet in this league now and just had a baby. And he was there for a couple of days in OTAs. He was chopping up with Declan Doyle. That is on tape. It's not like he's been completely MIA from the Ravens since Minter and Doyle got hired. That's not the case, right? So I think that Rashod Bateman, he will be back training camp. He's going to dominate in training camp as well because he's going to get a lot of burn in training camp. He's going to get a lot of targets, I would say, especially in the red zone. Now that there's no more likely, you know what I mean? You're going to see Rashod Bateman getting targets in the red zone. You're going to have guys like Jeff Zarebeck reporting on that. I mean, you can book it now. You don't have to believe me. And I know a lot of y'all don't. That's why y'all asses in the book. Okay? Which is right here, by the way. It's right here. And I saw what Tila said earlier in the chat, talking about she going to pour gasoline on my book here. Nah, we keeping the facts. We keeping all the evidence. All the evidence. Preseason is not enough to see what those boys got to offer over Zay. Stop, we're playing third stringers. Yeah, so I do think in the 3 preseason games that we get, you are going to see targets for Lane and Surratt. And again, it's not going to take much. It's not going to take much. Maybe it's not touchdowns for both of them, but a couple of chain moving plays, a couple of good catches, even if they're just routine catches. You got to understand, Tantra. Everyone is looking for and checking for Lane and Surratt right now. So it ain't going to take much, right? They don't have to play 5-6 drives in the preseason, each preseason game, in order for us to take away something from that. All eyes are going to be on them. And for crying out loud, they were a 3rd and 4th round pick, respectfully. The Ravens are going to utilize those guys. They're going to utilize those guys, 100%, especially considering that they have not brought in a veteran. Okay. Let's go ahead and move along here. Neuro Psych Sports, I see you in the chat as well. What up? Tasha said he's a vet and he had a baby. Oh my goodness, this dude gets so many excuses. It's so funny. It's like, I don't know why this happens, but like, because we have a lot of ladies who watch the show, right? And salute to all of our ladies who watch the show. We love you guys, but it seems like whenever I bring up the fact that Rashod Bateman had a baby, a lot of the ladies are like not trying to hear that. They're like, "Nah, we don't give a damn about that." Like, okay, you had a kid. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are funny. But he had a kid, right? Cut him some slack. Give him a break. And it's the off season. It's where these guys, let Bateman do his thing, y'all. Let him live. But no, it is funny though. All right. What up, Mike? Yeah, we're moving along. Void, what up? All right. So let's see. What else do we have? A little article I came across earlier today about Ravens 14th overall pick, Vega Ioane. That's right. Vega Ioane had an article written about him by he who shall not be named. But Vega Ioane's physicality can apparently become a foundation for the Ravens O-line. Let's take a listen here to this article. During Vega Ioane's pro day at Penn State, no one was knocked off their feet more than Ravens O-line coach Dwayne Ledford. In running the offensive line drills, Ledford decided to hold a blocking bag before the 6'4", 320-pound guard prospect took a rep, and it got Ioane thinking. Ioane had already been heavily linked to the Ravens in the first round of the mock drafts, and this was his chance to make a strong impression. He said to himself, all right, I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm trying to push him on his ass a little bit, talking about what he did to Dwayne Ledford at his pro day. Ioane drove back Ledford several yards and nearly put him on his back, which reinforced his reputation as one of the draft's most dominant blockers. A month later, Ledford was among those advocating for the Ravens to draft Ioane with their top selection. Of course, the Ravens used the number 14 pick on Ioane, who became only the second guard selected by the Ravens in the first round for a reason. The Ravens believe Ioane's toughness and grit can become the foundation for the Ravens' new look offensive line. Ioane is the biggest addition to a line that allowed quarterback Lamar Jackson to get pressured on 37.1% of his dropbacks last season, the worst rate of Lamar Jackson's 8-year career. One of the most anticipated days of Ravens training camp will come when Ioane can start showing his power. So what does that mean, y'all? When them pads come out, man, we're gonna find out a whole lot of information. We're gonna find out a whole lot, Chad, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. We've still got maybe I think it's about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. I think it's like 3 weeks until the rookies report. Maybe a little bit less at this point. Sheesh. We're getting there. We're getting close, chat. We're getting dangerously close to football being back and dangerously close to seeing Vega Ioane, the Ravens' 14th overall guard pick, in action. Moving along here, Roquan Smith said, I can tell physicality is his thing. I'm very excited to see him in camp when the pads get to popping a little bit more. Exactly. Ioane immediately lined up as Baltimore's starting right guard from the first day of spring practices, which I thought was interesting. I've always said it here on this channel. I'll stick by this. I would rather have Vega playing left guard. That way you have a strong side with Vega and Ronnie Stanley. If you want to run left, right, you can actually get team defenses used to expecting a Derrick Henry run to the left behind Big Vega and Ronnie. And then you play action off of that. Defense will never see it coming. Defense will never see it coming. You're welcome, by the way, Declan Doyle and Jesse Minter. Okay. So let me see here. Moving along. So he represents a significant upgrade over Daniel Faalele, whose run block win rate 70.8%, ranked 32nd among guards over the past 2 seasons, and his pass block win rate was 25th amongst guards. During the non-contact workouts, Vega has impressed coaches with how fast he comes off the ball, as well as his professionalism. Ravens offensive coordinator Declan Doyle acknowledged he almost did not notice the rookie on the field. He's in there and he's a rookie, but he feels like a veteran from his communication or from his relationship with the guys around him, Doyle said. You can see the athleticism on really a number of the schemes that we're running, as well as in the protection game. He's a guy that's very quiet, but he's hungry to get better. Let me pause right there. I watched the little mini documentary that I believe Vega Ioane put out himself of him on draft night with his family and things like that. And I was listening to his brother, his father, but most importantly, his mother. Vega Ioane's mother was talking about what she, loves so much about her son. And it was basically like, he is super humble, super obedient, not trying to, be super flashy in the mix, doesn't care about having a bunch of friends or doesn't care about approval from others and things like that. He just wants to be the best person he can be for himself and his family. And he's obedient. He listens, right? So he's extremely powerful, but more than that, he's extremely teachable. So I feel like with that being said, this coaching staff, Jesse Minter, Declan Doyle, Dwayne Ledford, and the like, are going to have a lot easier of a time molding him into the type of player that they need him to be for this specific Ravens offense. You can't say that about all rookies. You just can't. Not all of them are very, very teachable. They're not. Some of them only skated by on talent their entire career. But when you get to this level, that is the NFL, you must, and when I say must, you must defer to those coaches. You have to. Because they've seen it all. They've seen it all. So just knowing that Vega Ioane is the type of guy who will defer to his coaches, Dwayne Ledford, which most guys will. Most football players will. Don't get me wrong. Most guys will. But the fact that he's teachable is everything, especially in a year where everybody's kind of learning a new scheme and a new system. Am I right? Like the video for that. It is exciting how much Ledford will teach Vega. I mean, I agree. 100%. 100%. He's going to be a beast for us. I agree. 100%. Moving along here, it says the challenge for Ioane is moving from left side in college to right side in the NFL. At Penn State, Vega Ioane played 1,822 snaps at left guard and 296 on the right. And it goes on to say here, let me see. The Ravens decided to put John Simpson, who was signed from the New York Jets in free agency at left guard, and switch Ioane to the right. Which again, I just don't know if that's the right decision. Like, I'd rather the rookie, transition into the NFL by playing the same position that he was so dominant at in college. That way it's a more seamless transition. And the continuity is there. But, if he's willing to be coachable and go to the right guard spot and do fine there, then I'm with that. As long as it works, whatever's clever. He said it's definitely a little bit of work to get used to again, but there isn't much to it, Vega said about switching from left to right. The Ravens showed how much they value Ioane by how high they selected him. That's a fact. The only other guard drafted in the first round by Baltimore was Ben Grubbs, the 29th pick in the 2007 draft, who became a 2-time Pro Bowler. So there's only been one other time in Ravens history where they've drafted a guard in the first round. And that ended up being Ben Grubbs, 2-time Pro Bowler. So, you pick guard high in the draft for a reason. Like I always say, guys, it's not the sexiest pick, but you got to eat your fruits and veggies. Okay? You got to eat your fruits and veggies. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's something that you need. You need it. Okay? That's what Vega Ioane is. Teams are typically taking quarterbacks, wide receivers, tackles, cornerbacks, and edge rushers in the top half of the first round, not interior O-linemen. Over the previous decade, only 5 guards have been selected in the top half of the first round. Damn. Over the past 10 years, only 5 guards have been selected in the top half of the first round. Quentin Nelson, Chris Lindstrom, Elijah Vera Tucker, Kenyon Green, and Tyler Booker. Which, again, to me, guys, doesn't make sense. You guys know what I always like to say. The game of football is played from the inside out. If your interior O-line is ass, your entire O-line is ass, if you ask me. And if your entire O-line is ass, your entire offense is ass. So people not placing a high value on interior O-linemen never made any sense. Never made any sense to me. If you can get premium guys at guard, center, guard, that is the driving force of your offense. Of course, you still got to figure out tackles, but first things first, guard, center, guard. Can't do anything else. Every play starts with guard, center, guard. Center's got to snap the ball. Guards have to give quarterback a pocket to step into. And the rest of the offense is predicated off of that. Right? Your running back's either going to be running behind the shoulder, off the left shoulder of the left guard, or over the right shoulder of the right guard, maybe in between in the A-gaps. However, those guys are important, massively important, guard, center, guard. So interior O-linemen, I wish that this league valued them more, but they don't, is what it is. I guess I'm not a football genius or in the NFL for a reason. Anywho, the Ravens, of course, selected Vega with 14. Vega was my favorite player in the entire draft, said Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta. Knowing that Vega was one of the very top players on our offensive coaches list, it made it super easy for me. Well, I don't know about that. Because if I remember correctly, wasn't there some sort of story that came out, and maybe we even saw it on video in their war room, like behind the scenes, where Eric DeCosta was trying to trade back. He knew Vega was going to be there. Ruben Bain was there too. I mean, he was trying to trade back. Until I think they said Jesse Minter, in chat, correct me if I'm wrong. They said Jesse Minter kind of told him, like, oh, wait a minute. You're going to do what? No, just don't overthink it. Take Vega. And that's what we ended up doing. We took Vega. Again, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that was the story. I know I'm not going crazy. Draft was a while ago. You guys know I do these streams every day, so the information sometimes is just, you know. But again, let me know down below in the chat and the comments. Let me see. Heading into the draft, DeCosta described Vega as coming straight from central casting for what you want your guards to look like. Known for pushing around defenders in the run game, Vega has been equally strong in shutting down pass rushers. He didn't give up a sack in his past 2 seasons at Penn State. That is what I like to hear. That is what I love to hear. Give Lamar Jackson a pocket that he can step up into and through. You give Lamar that, Lamar will give you an offense that puts up 30 plus points a game. He will give you another all-pro, all-worldly MVP level season. He will give you a chance to take this team to the promised land, aka the Super Bowl. If you give him that. Vega is looking forward to blocking for Lamar Jackson, calling it an honor to be his teammate, but Lamar will likely enjoy having someone with Ioane's mindset having his back too. And I know that's right. I know that's right. You need some maulers up there. Not to mean these. I mean, listen. We all went into last season thinking that Daniel Falele was hopefully going to build upon what he had going on in 2024. Hell, even a lot of us thought that Andrew Voorhees, I was one of them. I thought Andrew Voorhees, I bought the hype. Okay, I bought the hype. I bought into he's the strongest player on the team. I bought into all that hype, but ended up not panning out. It's unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. Yeah. And thank you if EDC mentioned trading back a few in his presser. Yeah. I knew I wasn't going crazy. But yeah, that mentality though. We don't need any softies. We don't need any softies on the offensive line. We don't need the U.S. men's national team on that offensive line, right? We don't need the U.S. men's weak-ass national team on that offensive line. We don't, and they deserve that shot too. I'm getting to them in a second. Don't you worry. I'm getting to them in a second. But yeah, I think that was about the end of the article here. Vega says, when I'm on the field, nobody's going to stand in front of me and survive. Woo! Vega Ioane said, that's my biggest mentality. I'm out there trying to move people off the ball, make them not get to my quarterback. That's what I'm talking about. There will be no survivors. There will be no survivors. Says Vega Ioane. That's what I love to hear. Clap it up for Vega, man. There will be no survivors. You know what I want? I can just imagine second half of games. Like if you have nastiness in the trenches, Vega Ioane, Zion Young on the other side. If you have that, do you know what that does for your team late in games? When teams are down 10 points, 17 points, a couple possessions to you. And not only do they have to focus on locking in and executing their plays, they got somebody in their ear and just letting them know that, hey, look, I'm here all night. I'm here all day. I don't know if Venga's much of a talker on the field. It seems like he kind of leads more by example and with his power, which is perfectly fine too. But that is demoralizing for a team trying to get back into a game. It is. But okay, let's move on from Vega Ioane. Super excited about him, man. I am. Some dogs on the line. Finally, that's what I'm talking about. As long as my QB is protected for a change, says the truth has consequences 58. I agree. The truth has consequences 58. Wholeheartedly. Too many choir boys on the team. That's what I'm saying, Ravenville. Again, guys, like the video. Subscribe if you are new here to the channel. All right, let's move along. Let's move right along. So, as I mentioned yesterday, oops, didn't mean to go over there. Let's go over here instead. As I mentioned, not yesterday, but earlier, just a minute ago, the World Cup has gone on, and they are leaving America in the dust. That's right. America lost 4-1 versus the country of Belgium last night on prime time at home in Atlanta. And it was embarrassing to say the least. Okay? Embarrassing to say the very least. I want to pull something up on screen here. Some of the stats from this game. Because I watched the entire game. right? I did not miss not a single part of this game because I really wanted to see how this team would perform under pressure. And they folded. Okay. Before I get into the stats here, of course, like I said, they lost 4-1, but America played lazy. America played scared. America played timid, soft, shy, reserved. Whatever word you want to use. Where they played like shit, you can use that word. Because they played like absolute dog shit yesterday. And embarrassed the country. And from the first whistle to the last, they seem totally discombobulated. Now, I don't know everything there is to know about soccer. However, I know when a team is falling apart. I know when a team is playing sloppy. And that's what America gave us last night for 90 minutes. Okay, it was a sloppy mess. One thing that really irritated me was the fact that the Americans could not muster up any type of attack. Any type of attack. They were creating zero penetration inside. Whenever they got into the box, it just felt like such like a fever dream almost. Like, oh, we finally made it. We're finally in the box. We're finally in a scoring position. But they just did not have the skills to shake free and get off a good shot. If you look at the stats here, the United States out this entire game got 2 shots on target. 2. They took 2 shots on the goal. 6 shots total, but only 2 shots on goal. I mean, it was an easy day in the office for the Belgium goalie. I don't think you heard his name called not one time. Easiest day in the office for the Belgium goalie. And again, like I mentioned before, US, they just had a very hard time getting penetration. But that was because their fundamentals and their mechanics weren't where they needed to be. And you could tell. You could tell. I don't know what the term is for, and if you know this, if you're a soccer head, let me know. I don't know what the term is for, like, when, you know, your team is on offense and you're on your own side of the field and you're just kind of kicking the ball around from teammate to teammate just to try to see if something opens up. America was doing that a lot last night. And on any sort of pass that could have been looked at as like an entry pass or a pass to get them to the next level, to get them closer to scoring opportunity, they couldn't handle the passes. At least not cleanly at all. And that's not something that I see with a lot of these other countries. A lot of these other countries, I mean, you could have a 30-yard, a 40-yard pass, long kick down the field. They're handling it first touch with ease. They've got it under control in a second. And they're ready to go score. US, I mean, we look like JV out there. JV high school. We're still learning. We're still learning. We can't control passes. It's taken us an extra couple of touches to get the ball under control. And by that time, Belgium's all over us. They're resetting. We had nothing going for us. Nothing. And this is not even to get into. This is not even getting into all of the blunders, right? I mean, the first goal that Belgium scored in that game, you get the ball is in the box. Belgium is threatening to score. A USA player, I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was Alex Freeman. Don't quote me on it, but he hits a header, right, to try to clear it. It barely goes anywhere. The entire American team just watches the ball fall right back into their box. And the Belgian attacker is like, oh, you guys are going to go for that ball? So he just runs up to it, kicks it, goal. I mean, like there was no effort. There was zero effort. Zero effort. So USA is down 1-0. Cool. Then A couple minutes later, what was it? Maybe like 15, 20 minutes later, something like that. I look up and America has a free kick. And it is Malik Tillman who takes this free kick. And the free kick, to his credit, it like almost goes over the wall, but it ricochets off of one of the Belgian players' heads. And that causes the ball to change direction. The goalie didn't see that coming, and he ended up scoring. So we're tied 1-1. Great. America's back in it. America's back in it. When I tell you, before I could even get done celebrating that goal, because I jumped off the couch when that goal happened. And I'm staring at my screen. I'm like looking at America celebrate and cheer. I'm like, oh, this is great. We're back in it. Awesome. We've got some momentum now. Ball goes inbound. I'm like, all right, let's see if we can build off this momentum. Literally less than a minute later, Belgium scores again. And that's when I knew, okay, yeah, we are outclassed here. We are outclassed. Because if they were able to get their get back that easily, I mean, it was much like nothing I've ever seen before. You know, literally maybe a minute. Maybe a minute after US scored, Belgium gets it right back. And that's when I knew, okay, we're not on these guys' level. we're just not on these guys' level. Okay. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. Right? It just snowballed from there. After that, you had what I thought was the dagger goal. Because when USA was down 2-1, it was like, okay, we can still fight back from this. But the goal where Matt Freese, our goalie, who apparently is a Major League Soccer guy, which that caliber of player, to my knowledge, has no business in the World Cup. But the ball's coming his way, and his first touch on it is a chest bounce, right? He lets the ball bounce off of his chest. And he's way outside of the box. So apparently when you're way outside of the box and you're the goalie, you can't use your hands at that point. Cool. But his first touch is off the chest. And he has the ball in a position where he can clear it. He can boot the ball 50 yards the other way to get it out of trouble. Knowing he had a Belgian player behind him closer to the goal than he is, he hesitates on clearing that football. Which I'm sure when that happened, the Belgian players were like, oh, he's an idiot. Oh, he's an idiot. We thought we were going to have to run 30 yards that way. If he's not going to kick it, we're just going to take it from him and just score really quick. And that's exactly what happened. They took it from him. He couldn't recover in time. Tim Ream was the last line of defense. And he kind of like ricochets it in off of his own body. Goal. And that was the dagger. 3-1 right there. 3-1 right there. I mean, you know, I already knew it was kind of over after the 2-1. I still had some hope. But once I saw them score that immediate goal after we scored our 1, I knew, okay, yeah, we're not going to be able to trade blows with these guys. And then once that Matt Freese conceded goal happened, I knew we were out of it. And then Pulisic gets hurt. After Pulisic did nothing the entire game. Really the entire World Cup. So, Captain America, my ass, respectfully, to Christian Pulisic. Captain America, my ass. Because what was that? What was that? And I get it. Oh, he was banged up suddenly the entire World Cup. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Lamar Jackson was banged up all season last year. Nobody gives him a pass. He's not going to be anybody's top 20 NFL top 100, but he's not going to be anywhere near that. I don't know where they'll put Lamar Jackson on that list, by the way. But yeah, you got to face it. I mean, if you are the American star, you got to face the consequences. And right now, Christian Pulisic, he's facing those consequences. He went down, he got hurt, and then allegedly he pulled himself out of the game. Then he goes and buries his hands in his face like this. Didn't even want to watch as the USA's World Cup hope slipped away. Didn't even want to watch. So yeah, Christian Pulisic, Captain America, my ass. my ass. Okay. Now, what I have been seeing. So again, USA, they're eliminated from the World Cup. Belgium moves on. Super embarrassing. But I want to say this because I've seen the discourse taking place online about how the United States, the only reason that they lose in soccer on a world stage is because our best athletes don't care about soccer. And to be honest with you, just as because I'm an American, obviously, but I got to be unbiased. There's a large amount of cope coming from Americans when they make statements like that. And I'm kind of guilty of it too. Because a part of me shares the same sentiment of like, yeah, you're right. If we trained up our LeBron Jameses and our Tyreek Hills and our Jamar Chases and our Jackson Smith and Jigbas and our I don't know, our Cooper Flags or whoever else, if we train those guys up to go play soccer, we'd probably dominate. Some people from overseas call out this cope from Americans, and they basically say, no, it's not about your best athletes not playing soccer. You guys simply don't have the skill to match the rest of the world. And it's like, yeah, because at the end of the day, two things can be true. Americans don't have the skill quite like the rest of the world when it comes to soccer because our best players don't care about soccer. Or not our best players, our best athletes don't care about soccer. I think, again, two things can be true. Americans don't have the same skill. That was clear and obvious last night. It was clear and obvious last night. Because when you watch a France or an Argentina or a Norway, one of the actual real teams, one of the good teams, one of the good countries, you can see there's a huge skill gap. But it's also, again, because Americans don't care. They just don't care about soccer. Kids are not brought up idolizing soccer players in this country. That's the thing about America. We've got our own sports. Like, it's in-house here. We're very much in-house in America. And that kind of speaks, it's a microcosm of like, I think kind of like the ethos almost of America. It's like, hey, we do our own thing. Here, we've got the National Football League, which is our football, okay? American football. What a lot of people say, real football, right? Which is disrespectful to a lot of the rest of the world. We've got basketball. We've got the National Basketball Association. You guys see, we come to the Olympics every 4 years and whoop y'all ass in that. Soccer, y'all call it football. We got our own football. Again, we do everything in-house here in America. And those American-born sports are going to be pushed and marketed way more than soccer ever will be in this country. That's why you don't have the USA catching up to the rest of the world when it comes to soccer. That's why. Let me see. Q the God says, I don't see why not. Football players make bank. They do. But again, if you are a 16-year-old athletic freak and you have the options to go play wide receiver and be a god on an SEC college campus and be loved and adored by all of your friends, peers, and hundreds of thousands of students in the student section for your games, and then go to the NFL and be super famous in America where you grew up, you have the chance to do that, or you can play on some unknown soccer team in America and hope that the Europeans pick you up. In which then, in case you'll fly away from the country you were raised in and born in and go play soccer over there. And none of your friends back home and none of your family back home is going to ever care as much as they would if you were in one of the staple leagues of America, aka the NFL, aka the NBA, aka the MLB. There's just a greater reward, I think. Either way, you're making life-changing money. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Comment down below what you think about it as well. America doesn't invest in those. Now you're on the right track. There's no money track in the US. Yeah, a lot more money invested into our in-house kind of proprietary sports that we've got going on. Let me see. OG Sean says, nope, it starts from toddler stage, fam. America does not generate enough special talent. No, we generate a lot of special talent. It's just that we kind of push them through a couple of main buckets, a couple of main avenues. Like I said, literally, it's football, basketball, baseball, and then everything else under that. Those are the big three. Football, basketball, baseball, everything else falls underneath that. Let me see. Bo Knows says, it's hard to get people interested in soccer when millionaires are made in baseball, basketball. Exactly. Afia says, it's okay that Americans aren't the greatest in soccer. It is. I think that, and again, I think that the cope coming from Americans is kind of like that American arrogance where it's like, we want to be the best in everything. Like, who are you to tell Americans that America isn't the best country in the world? Don't we quite literally police the rest of the world? Doesn't the rest of the world look to us? Doesn't most of the world look to the America as like the greatest power on earth, strongest military, all that good stuff? So Americans, again, they kind of are born with this arrogance as they're socialized. Not born with it. They're socialized into like being arrogant about, the America's the best, full stop, that sort of thing. So when you have the World Cup and America gets trounced by Belgium or Portugal or one of these other countries that natural born Americans don't look at as like being on the same level as America, it's kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought we were the best. But you got to realize soccer is, again, international sport, and they take it way more seriously than all other parts of the world. It just is what it is, and it's okay. That's okay. Training camp starts in 3 weeks. That's all I'll say. Training camp starts in 3 weeks. All right. Let me see. Thomas says, also when Matt Freese somehow, some way kicked the ground instead of the ball, it reminded me of the Giants kicker who kicked the ground instead of the ball in the Giants Patriots Monday Night Football game. Yeah, that was Younghoe Koo, Thomas. That was Younghoe Koo. Those years ago. I actually made a YouTube short reacting to the game last night, and I added that in there because that was funny. It made me think of that too. As for Balogun, right? Folarin Balogun, he was, of course, the talk of the town leading up to the game because we thought he was going to be suspended with that red card he got against Bosnia, but apparently the president talked to the head of FIFA and said, hey, look, you guys need to take another look at this because we don't think it's fair. FIFA said, okay, we'll take a look at it. And you know what? You're right, America. We're going to reinstate your guy Balogun to play in the round of 16. And he played, and he was a non-factor. But I don't think it was necessarily so much because Balogun just wasn't good. I think that, again, Balogun's a striker. He's going to play as close to the box as possible. If you cannot get the ball inside to him or get the ball to an advantageous point where he can make something happen with it, it's going to render him useless. Much like the same thing that happens with Erling Haaland on Norway. Alex said this yesterday on the main pod. If you're not giving him service, If you're not feeding him and setting him up correctly, what's he good for? And by the way, every time Balogun got the ball, it seemed like he had 2 defenders right there in his pocket. So he was a non-factor all night, but I wouldn't put the loss really on him. I really would not at all. I would not at all. It was really like the midfielders not being able to get any sort of forward pressure or momentum. Again, their mechanics were off. They weren't on the same page. Man, again, I'm not the hugest soccer guy. Like I said, I'm not the hugest soccer guy, but I know what I watched last night. Let me see. Mike says, when the owner of the football team in the city also owns the baseball, hockey, basketball franchises in the city, why invest in the soccer pipeline? Think about it. I agree. They already got a ton of money coming in. I mean, just funnel it through what you own. Let me see. Kwame says he wants me to read his comment. What's your comment, Kwame? Kwame said, think about it this way. Europe has its own version of AAU where kids actually live at the sports complex in dorms, only learning soccer. America does not do that, fam. It'll never be the same. It's a good take. I think that much like with I think Kwame said this or somebody else just said it, but like when you have one sport, okay, you grow up in certain countries, there's one sport you're going out for. You don't have all these options. See, in America, it's the land of the free. And again, it speaks back to the personality that is America. We have options, freedom. You don't have to just pick soccer, right? We've got our own proprietary sports right here. NFL, basketball, Major League Baseball. You got those. You got choices. Hell, you want to swim. As long as your parents have the money to invest and put you into said sports, you can do it here in America. Again, in some other countries, a lot of other countries, you got one option, one avenue. You can play soccer? Cool. You don't? All right. Guess it's time to get into a trade. Guess it's time to do this or that, Guess it's time to go to college. You get education. It's either soccer or nothing in a lot of countries is what I'm saying. It's soccer or nothing. And that's why they take it so serious. Like Kwame says here, they're doing entire boarding schools where kids get shipped off. They live in dorms. Like they're actually going to college, like soccer college. America will never catch up to that because we just have too many options. Freedom of choice. Just by the nature of what America stands for and what we do here is exactly why you'll never get what Kwame is saying here in this comment. We got too much freedom, too much choice. A lot of other countries don't have that. But that's a good point, Kwame. Love that. Afia says, I mean the men, but the women are pretty great. And this is true. This is a tough one because I'd love to do more research on it. I was reading some stuff earlier this week about why this is, Afia. And a lot of people were bringing up like Title IX and things like that, where now, and they were saying things like on a lot of college campuses, there is no soccer or men's soccer team. There's only women's. And it's just something that in America, I think women are more inclined to get into. Much like women, when I was in high school, women were doing like field hockey and some were doing like lacrosse and things like that. Like different sports where like you put a ball into a goal. I just think that soccer is more suited for maybe little girls than it is for little boys. Because little boys are always going to be pushed towards, oh, play football. You're a boy. Like harden up, put on these pads, go play football. Or, oh, you like LeBron James and Steph Curry, you like watching them on TV. All right, let's give you a basketball, put you in a jersey, see what you can do, see what your jumper's looking like. Whereas for girls, I feel like, you know, obviously you're not going to do football. That's largely not an option. Basketball you can do, and a lot of women do. Of course, WNBA is bigger now than it's ever been, and we love that. But outside of that, it doesn't leave a whole lot of options. Again, this is a whole different conversation. It's a whole another can of worms that, again, like I would love to do more research on, and maybe I'll cover it on Sudden Reactions on my other channel. Maybe I'll cover it on Sudden Reactions. So I study up a little bit more on that. Okay. Let me see. Mike brings up a point here. It says in college you have to balance the teams. Football offsets men's soccer. Women can get more scholarships and education via soccer. See, now you're cooking. Now you're cooking, because that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Kwame says, if you get into soccer at 10 years old, you've already lost, fam. That's just how it works in other countries. Yeah, I mean, there's just not enough hours in the day. You can't pick up a sport like that, or really any sport. If you want to be at the highest level, you have to be basically born into it. You got to come out the womb hitting your first touch, dribbling and juggling the ball and putting the ball in the upper 90s part of the net. You got to come out of the womb doing that. Because there's no other way for you to develop that muscle memory. Like you can just tell the countries that the skill that is playing soccer, it just comes naturally to them. So natural. US, we look kind of clunky out there. We look pretty clunky. And I think these are the best available American players in the world. We look clunky as hell compared to, like I said, these Brazil, France, Colombia. I mean, a lot of these teams, man. We look so clunky compared to them. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap that conversation there, chat. I do want to round this episode out by bringing up Lonely 1044's comment here. It says, who say Zay top 3 in the AFC? Does Garrett, Chase, Nico, or AJ Brown not exist? So I give you Chase, I give you Nico, I give you AJ Brown. Garrett Wilson is one of those guys for me who just hasn't done quite enough for me to consider him a bona fide. Well, he's a one. He's a wide receiver one. Don't get me wrong. But like, you could have the debate on whether you put him or Zay Flowers ahead of each other. Again, my top 3 was Jamarr Chase, AJ Brown, Nico Collins. The 4th spot I could give to Zay. Garrett Wilson is in that conversation as well. I would just have to look a little bit deeper into it. I'm not mad at either, though. I'm not mad at either. Bateman's getting in work. Who said that? Is that on Instagram? Let me see. Before we get out of here. You pulling my leg here? Hope you're not pulling my leg. Who was that in the chat who said that? Double A. On this Insta story. Let me see what my guy Bateman up to. What's he up to? Bateman. Let's see. I gotta see this. Rashod. Oh, crap. Without bait. Let's see. All right, let me share my screen before we get out of here. Uh-oh. Y'all see it? Wait a minute. Y'all see it? Don't even worry about it. My man getting the balance right. Yes, sir. Hey, don't ever play on my boy Rashod Bateman ever again. Acting like he's not getting that work in. What we talking about, chat? Okay? He's showing y'all. Like, look, bro, I may not be out in the Florida heat with Zay and Jamarr Chase, at least not yet. But like, I'm working. We working on things over here. We working on stuff over here. Show him, Bait. What I'm talking about. Look at this. Oh, some clean pull-ups there too. Full extension. Full extension. Those are really hard to do. Full extension all the way down. Love that. Perfect form on these pull-ups. I'd like to see those thumbs above the bar, but other than that, perfect form. Okay, here's what we came here to see. Us. Woo! He getting in that work. I'm telling you, where's he at? Is this in Arizona? It looked like that was in like Arizona, didn't it? Who said my man Rashod Bateman not putting in that work? Step into my office. Step into my office. What are we talking about? Don't y'all ever fix your lips to disrespect Bateman ever again. Ever again. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. One more time for those in the back. Easy out route. Love it. Getting upfield too. Telling you, man, this year gonna be different. Y'all think that Rashod Bateman, he's quitting on the team, or he gonna get traded, or he's not bought in, he ain't putting in no work. Look at what he's doing right here. Look at what he's doing. And thank you so much, Double A. Thank you so much, Double A, for putting that in the chat. Okay. I still think there's Lamar Bate beef. No, there's not. No, there's not. Don't put that evil on him, Ricky Bobby. OG Sean says was in a Twitter space a while back, and they were talking about AFC receivers. A lot of people didn't even have Zay top 10 in the AFC. It's crazy. That's crazy. To not have Zay Flowers in the top 10 receivers in the AFC, that's wild. But, I do think that it, in large part, is because, to a casual fan who's not, again, a degenerate Ravens fan like us, if you're not having these huge highlight plays that result in touchdowns, like every week, again, Zay Flowers went 12 weeks without scoring a touchdown. 12 weeks. So to the public, there's not really much for them to think back on and say, oh, yeah, I remember that crazy Zay Flowers play. Or, yeah, he had a couple really great catches. I remember that one, People just think back to the Steelers game, week 18, against those two blown coverages. That's pretty much it. But to have him not top 10 is wild. That's wild. I think he finished 7th in receiving yards in the NFL last season. Like in the NFL, not the AFC, in the NFL. Yeah. Let me see. Chef Trez says, Sut, how do you give Bates so many passes but have so much smoke for Zay? I honestly don't think that I give Bateman. I know I joke around a lot, but at the end of the day, I am objective. I've said it. I say it all the time. I said it earlier in this episode. Like, Bateman is on the hot seat. He is on the hot seat. I just choose to support him in these trying times. Zay Flowers, however, his seat's really not so hot. But I don't want us to get comfortable with our wide receiver one averaging, 3-4 catches a game, 50 to 65 yards, somewhere in there, no touchdowns. I don't want us to be comfortable with that being our wide receiver one. That's why I have the smoke for Zay. I shoot Bates some bail because I do feel like he gets a bad rap. But Zay Flowers, I just have high expectations for him, man. I've got higher expectations than what he's delivered for us so far. And I think that's fair to say. Now, do I exaggerate a little bit? Yeah, I'll lean into it a little bit. I have fun with you guys, but that's what I really believe. That's what I really think. Okay. Bateman doesn't get 10% of Zay's targets. This is also true. Also true. Okay. How many touchdowns Rashod Bateman will have this 2026 season? I'm going to go with, I think he gets his number. I think he gets 7. I think he gets 7. Give me 7 touchdowns for Rashod Bateman and give me at least 700 yards. Again, because I think he's going to be more of a red zone threat more than anything. So yeah, give me 7 touchdowns, and then I take about 700 yards. Again, still a run first offense, so I wouldn't expect him to go over 1,000. If he does, then Listen, if Rashod Bateman goes over 1,000 yards this season, you know how many apologies I'm going to be owed from some of you guys who are listening to this show right now? I'm going to be owed some apologies. That's all I know. Look at the little montage posted 7 days ago on the account. Oh, really? Let me see. What montage? This? Oh, yeah. Oh, he working. Oh, yeah. Y'all be trying to act like my boy Bateman not putting in that work. What's going on with that? Y'all trying to act like he just working on his clothing line, playing video games, listening to Playboy Cardi, who was one of his favorite artists. Nah, my boy working. He working. Ooh, nice catch outside the frame. Ooh, he moving different too. That boy moving different. Look, out of break. Ooh, catch outside the frame. Come on, man. What are we talking about, yo? What are we talking about? What are we talking about, man? They be trying to act like my boy Bate don't be putting in that work. Cone drills. Ooh, love that. Love that. Love that. Yeah, this is pretty much like all of the I'm not gonna lie. Double A, appreciate that. Appreciate you for putting me onto this. This is like all the evidence I need, to carry me into training camp, right? This is all the evidence I need. All the evidence I need. Did y'all not see the catches outside the frame? Did y'all not see it? I mean, that boy looked like he moving different out. It's not just me. Okay? I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing here. Loving what I'm seeing. Deep ball bait. It might be making a comeback. I'm just saying. Y'all try to say he ain't working. Look at that. Look at his catch. Ooh. Oh, look at that. Look at that movement, bro. Look at the change of direction on a dime. All right, you know what? I'm done. 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 I promise. I'm done. But that's all I need. That was all the evidence and proof that I needed. So look, if you want to go in the bait hate book, let me know. You can go in, but if you thought that Rashod Bateman wasn't putting any work, you're wrong about that. Okay, if you thought that Lamar Jackson and Rashod Bateman was beefing, you're 99% probably wrong about that too. If you thought that Rashod Bateman was going to get traded before the start of the season, 99% wrong about that too. Again, I'll leave a little 1% out there just in case. But my man is full speed ahead into the season. So we're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. All right. Now, let's go ahead. ISO says he goes in the house after he gets his clip free. Wait till we get Rashod Bateman on the show. I'm going to just say that. Wait till we get Rashod on the show. And let's see if y'all talking spicy about my boy Bate then. We'll see. We'll see. All good. Don't even worry about it. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode of the show. I didn't even expect to go an hour and a half today, but here we are. Nonetheless, shout out to y'all for coming through. As always, again, my name is Sudden Death. You are listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. This is Quiet Storm Sports. Please be sure to leave a like on this video. Okay? Helps us out a ton here at PRP. Subscribe to the channel as well. And also, before you get out of here, comment down below, because I didn't see everybody's live chat comments, but comment down below, please. If you could just do this one thing. Comment down below who your top three AFC wide receivers are. AFC wide receivers, your top three. Is Zay in there? Is Garrett Wilson in there? Who's in there for you? Let me know down below in the comments section. Again, like the video, hype the video, all the things. We will be back. We will be back for another episode of the show. Tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure what time I'll be live. I do have family coming into town, so make sure you turn those notifications on, because tomorrow might be a little bit more random than today. Just letting you know. Anywho's, again, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. As always, stay positive, test negative. Never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. And as always, may purple rain. Peace.